Hey, innovators and creators. Have you ever wondered, why do some people rise from setbacks to greatness while others remain trapped by fear and doubt? In The Essence of Success by Earl Nightingale, we learn that success isn't about luck. It's about mindset, courage, and how we act on our beliefs. In today's session, we'll explore chapters 14 to 25, with stories from Naguib Sawiris to Coco Chanel, from Bhutton to Lionel Messi, that reveal how attitude, imagination, perseverance, and purpose shape a life of true success. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, covering the first 13 chapters, be sure to check it out from the above I button before jumping in. Welcome back to Read with Joy, where books spark bold change. Let's grow together, think bigger, and act bolder. Let's begin. Chapter 14, The Strangest Secret. Why do some people never find a way forward? Because they give up before they fully commit to the will. Strong desire creates doors where none seem to exist. Naguib Sawiris didn't chase the crowd, he chased a vision. Where others saw chaos, he saw opportunity. With unshakable belief, he built Orascom Telecom across some of the world's toughest markets. Through turmoil and doubt, he held on to one secret: we become what we think about. And that belief turned bold ideas into reality, making Sawiris one of Africa's most resilient billionaires. Lesson: your dominant thought shapes your dominant destiny. Chapter 15, Thinking and Mindset. Why do problems often feel bigger than they are? Because we face them emotionally instead of systematically. Clarity and structure shrink even the biggest problems. When Kuan became Singapore's first prime minister, he didn't see a hopeless island, he saw potential. Surrounded by poverty and no resources, he treated nation-building as a mindset. With discipline, education, and zero tolerance for corruption, he engineered success. Under his leadership, Singapore rose from a struggling port to a global powerhouse, proving that with the right mindset, even the smallest nation can shine on the world stage. Lesson: success isn't inherited, it's engineered through mindset. Chapter 16, Imagination and Motivation. Why do we let worry paralyze us? Because we see it as fear instead of energy in disguise. Worry redirected becomes focus and momentum. Carlos Slim grew up in Mexico's chaos of inflation and instability, but he imagined something greater. Where others saw crisis, he saw opportunity. By calmly acquiring undervalued businesses, he built Grupo Carso into a Latin American giant. His vision turned telecom, finance, and retail into an empire. Proof that imagination, fueled by motivation, doesn't just shape dreams, it builds legacies. Lesson: imagination, paired with motivation, transforms fear into legacy. Now pause here and think, which foundation, belief, mindset, or imagination do you lean on most, and which must you strengthen for your next breakthrough? Chapter 17, Managing Risk in Your Life. Why do we feel overwhelmed by the future? Because we try to solve tomorrow's problems today. Peace comes from winning today's battles. Ferruccio Lamborghini didn't rush greatness, he built it step by step. From repairing tractors with wartime scrap, he learned patience, precision, and risk management. He didn't challenge Ferrari overnight, he waited until he mastered engineering. Then, at the right moment, he launched Lamborghini, now a symbol of power and luxury. His journey shows smart risks create lasting legends. Lesson: risk isn't the enemy, recklessness is. True risk is managed with timing. Chapter 18, Making the Most of Opportunities. Why do so many stop just before success? Because they mistake temporary struggle for permanent failure. Success often arrives when you refuse to quit. Aliko Dangote didn't wait for perfect conditions, he created them. From battling rejection and inflation to spotting small gaps in cement, sugar, and flour, he seized every chance. Those bold moves built the Dangote Group, Africa's largest industrial empire. His story proves opportunity isn't found, it's made. Lesson: Opportunity hides in imperfect conditions. Act anyway. Chapter 19, Importance of Perseverance. Why do people act smaller than they are? Because their internal picture of themselves is blurry. You rise only as far as your self-image allows. Coco Chanel, born in France and raised in an orphanage, refused to let her past define her. Through poverty and rejection, she stitched her way into history, reinventing fashion with comfort, simplicity, and boldness. From the little black dress to Chanel No. 5, she turned struggle into timeless elegance. Chanel proved that perseverance doesn't just overcome hardship, it creates a legacy that endures for generations. Lesson: perseverance doesn't just push through struggle, it turns it into legacy. Pause again and think, do you lean toward risk, opportunity, or perseverance? And what would change if you shifted? Chapter 20, Using Courage to Achieve Success. Why does fear control so many lives? Because we don't understand what it's protecting. Fear loses power when faced with courage. High in the Himalayas, Bhutan chose happiness over wealth. While the world chased GDP, it measured progress through gross national happiness, valuing balance, compassion, and peace. By embracing discomfort and reflecting on life's impermanence, Bhutan turned fear into clarity. Its bold path proves true success isn't riches, it's living fully and wisely. Lesson: courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing values bigger than fear. Chapter 21, Failure and Learning from It. Why do people wait for the right time? Because they fear imperfection more than inaction. Now is always the best time to start. Nguyen Ha Dong, a solo Vietnamese developer, built Flappy Bird as a side project. Overnight, it went viral. So viral, he pulled it offline, unprepared for the spotlight. But he didn't call it failure, he called it feedback. His story reminds us, success isn't just about skill, it's about being ready when your next idea takes flight. Lesson: failure isn't the end, it's training for your next beginning. Chapter 22, Meaning and Purpose. Why do people wait for someone else to lead? Because they don't realize they can be their own hero. Leadership begins when you start acting. Sir Edmund Hillary, a humble beekeeper from New Zealand, didn't chase fame, he chased purpose. In 1953, with Tenzing Norgay, he conquered Everest, once thought impossible. But his greatest triumph wasn't glory. It was showing the world that with quiet resolve, any summit is climbable. True success isn't just reaching the top, it's knowing why you climb. Lesson: purpose transforms challenges into calling. Now think, which guides your journey most? Courage, learning, or purpose? Chapter 23, The Importance of Daily Actions. Why do most people never achieve what they want? Because they don't become what they think about most. Our thoughts shape our reality. Linus Torvalds didn't set out to conquer Microsoft, he just wanted a better system for himself. In 1991, he released Linux as open source, inviting the world to build together. What began as a student's side project became the backbone of global computing, powering phones, servers, and even space tech. His story proves world-changing innovation doesn't start with loud ambition. It starts with quiet, consistent action. Lesson: big revolutions come from small, consistent actions. Chapter 24, Happiness and Service. Why do some lives end in regret? Because they chase comfort over courage. Triumph comes through service and bold choices. Lionel Messi proved greatness isn't just about trophies. His service to fans through love of the game became his legacy. Lesson: happiness grows when your gift serves others. Chapter 25, Self-Actualization and Personal Growth. Why do people settle for less? Because they stop believing their best life is possible. Greatness begins when you decide to live fully. In 1980, Vigdis Finnbogadottir, a single mother and former theater director, made history as the world's first democratically elected female president. Far from the traditional path to power, she rose with quiet determination and a deep sense of purpose. For 16 years, she led Iceland with grace, championing culture, equality, and unity. Vigdis proved that true strength comes from authenticity, redefining leadership and inspiring millions to rise above expectations. Lesson: growth begins when you embrace your full self without compromise. Think again. Are your daily actions, joy, and authenticity shaping the legacy you want? And that wraps up our journey through the essence of success. And if you want more, explore 40-plus book summaries at www.readwithjoy.in or email us for a physical copy. From mindset to imagination, from courage to daily action, we've seen that true success isn't about luck or talent. It's about belief, perseverance, service, and purpose. So here's my question for you. Now that you've seen what really shapes success, how will you shift your habits, thoughts, or purpose moving forward? Drop your reflections in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives that spark bold change. Thanks for watching. This is Read with Joy. Until next time, keep striving, keep learning, and keep growing.